Hello and welcome to Awakening, the blog. Today I would like to address this phrase that has been so powerful ever since we read it in The Little Prince. What's essential is invisible to the eye. Only with the heart we can see clearly. Basically, I want to focus on the part that's what's essential is invisible to the eye. What could that possibly mean, and why this phrase has been so powerful over the ages and for so many people? Somehow we know that's right, that's correct. We have this notion that we know that that phrase is so right on, yet we don't know how to achieve it. What could it possibly mean? I mean, it's clear, the meaning is clear, but how do we possibly manifest? How can we reach that point of understanding, first of all, what's essential? What's essential for me, it's probably not the same as what's essential for you. We're talking about separate individuals, right? Yet there is something that's essential for all of us. That's the same. When we, for instance, we talk about oneness, that is a major theme these days, and that we somehow know that we are connected and we are all one. Therefore, if we're all one, the essential things are possibly the same for all of us. I'm recording here in the northern part of Florida, so I'll be sweating a lot in doing this now and then. So we've been given these amazing five senses. We have them: the touch, the eye, the smell, the hearing, the taste. Amazing senses. Life would be possibly miserable without one of them or all of them. So we are talking about the essential. What's essential? And what's so essential that's invisible to the eye? It's invisible to the eye. I mean, I can see all this wonderful nature and have this feeling inside that I feel so full of love and energy. And you tell me that the essential is beyond this feeling of greatness, of amazement for nature? What could that possibly be? Let's say that what's essential for us humans is possibly, I'm just going to take one thing. I'm just, making something out of one thing we have all in common. And it is that we are spiritual beings. But yet, what does it mean to be spiritual beings? We are embodied. We are in a matter expression. This is our manifestation of spirit in matter. And if we start from this idea that we are spiritual beings, and by that I don't mean religious beings, I mean spiritual beings as an essential part of our nature, common to all human beings. I could possibly do another blog about what religion means, which is religare and means to reunite, and that's not the case, as we have seen. But just this, spiritual beings. We are in essence spiritual beings. What's that? I could probably talk a lot about it, but the important thing is how we relate to it, how we discover that that's essential. And if by discovering our spiritual essence, if life is going to be any different for us. What's essential is invisible to the eye, yet Most people, I mean most people, like 99.9999% of humanity, based their interaction to others upon the looks, upon the way we see through our eyes. You know, you could possibly judge me by how I look. Many people don't know if I'm a woman or I'm a man because, you know, my short hair, whatever. And so we need to put things in square spaces to identify things and then judge. And upon our judgments, we make these ideas of who people is. Or who people, you know, each person, how each person is. It's evident that we don't see others for who they are, but we see them by who we are. Because we see others through our eyes and our perceptions of who they are. We identify with somebody on certain things, and that's our idea of that person. But we don't know the person in a whole context. And so we start having these interactions with people according to our resonance with them. Yet in order for us to start seeing people for who they are, other people, we need to learn to see ourselves for who we are. And I'd like to share a story with you that for me, it's been part of this journey, and it's a really nice story, and I'm going to tell it my way, because the original, I don't remember where I read it from or how it came to me. It is a really interesting story, metaphoric story of the reality of humanity nowadays, and related to the subject that I'm treating right now. So the story goes that God created all of life, and we were all living in paradise together very happily, but you know, it got boring. God got bored of, you know, everything was perfect, everybody getting along so well, and no, he said, you know, I need to create duality to see what happens, and I'll send humans, I'll send them to another planet so I can see what happens. So he sent us to planet Earth. Yet we didn't like it here, so we always returned to paradise, and we returned to paradise, and we returned to paradise all the time. And it's like, oh gosh, you know, God said, they don't allow me to see what can happen if I just leave them there. So I need to close the gates to paradise so they won't come back, and they develop, and I want to see what happens. And so he closed the gates, but he didn't know what to do with the keys, where to hide the keys, because if he didn't hide the keys, we were always going to be coming back and coming back, because that was home. And so he reunited the Congress of Minor Gods and Goddesses, and he said, you know, I need to hide this key to the gates of paradise for humans. I need to hide it, but I don't know where. Any suggestions, anybody? And so one god said, oh, I know. Why don't you hide that key in the tallest mountain, in Mount Everest? Why don't you hide it over there? So God sat down and meditated. He said, nah, that's not going to work. I can see Ivan Vallejo climbing the Everest without oxygen, and he's going to find those keys. So a goddess said, well, why don't you hide those keys in the depths of the ocean, very, very deep in the ocean? So he sat, he saw what could develop from that. He said, I see this Jacques Cousteau researching all over the oceans, and he's going to find the key. That's not going to work. So another goddess said, hey, why don't you hide the key in the moon? They're not going to find it there. So he said, okay, let me try it. Oh my God. He saw Neil Armstrong going to the moon. He said, one giant step for man, one step for man, one giant leap for mankind, or something like that. No way. And then he said, okay, I'm just gonna have to do this by myself. I need to go meditate and see where I can hide those keys. So he went on in meditation for a while, and after an hour or so he comes back and said, very happy, and I said, oh, I found the best place to hide those keys. I really know where to hide them. And everybody is like, okay, where are you going to hide those keys? And he said, oh, I'm going to hide them inside themselves, because that's a place they're never going to look for. And ever since then, he's amusing himself, trying to, watching us, how we figure out to go back home. We have not figured out how to go back home, because we're not looking inside, we're looking elsewhere. And so that's how the story goes. And so, you know, what's essential is invisible to the eye. That really means we need to open up the third eye. To open up the third eye, the only possible way to open the third eye is to go inside. And to go inside means that we need to learn how to, by different ways. Mainly, the best way is closing your eyes and connecting with what we feel, connecting with the thinking, the feeling, the sensations. That's how we start, just the beginning. And after a very long journey, for some it will be a shorter journey, we start discovering this spiritual realm functions completely different than what we know so far in the physical realm. After all, we are living in duality. And so spirit and matter are the opposites. And I leave you with this, you know, the keys are inside. We have heard from so many people that by looking inside we'll find all the answers. That's very true, just we don't know how to look inside. But we are not going to find out how to look inside if we are still looking outside. So we need to sit with ourselves in silence and start reflecting on our lives, who we are. Face the fear. Most people are so afraid of looking inside because of the pain probably that they're holding inside, the emotional pain. But let me tell you that the emotional pain is just part of our experience. It's not who we are. The emotional pain we have endured in life is here to help us grow, to teach us some lessons that we can use those extreme awful situations to discover the light. After all, the stars are well seen only in the darkness of the night. That's when we see the light. And maybe that's why we have to undergo so many awful experiences in life, because otherwise we wouldn't have the stimuli, yeah. We wouldn't be stimulated or have the desire to look for the light unless we go through such pain. I know people say that there's no need to suffer in order to awaken. But I believe that as long as we live in duality, we need to experience both sides. And we experience one side by going through the other, and the other by going through the one. So It's quite an interesting journey. It all depends how we feed it in our scheme of life and how we use the good and the bad things that we experience to help us discover who we truly are. And remember, the essential is invisible to the eye. That's so true. So try to look beyond what you see and get the feeling, connect with the energy, connect with the resonance or resonate with the energy behind the things that you experience in life. That's the most important thing. Yes, what we see in the beauty we see through our eyes, it's part of it. But we cannot stay on that. To go to the essence, we need to learn to see the energy, to read the energy. And it's very possible. We can all do it. It's a matter of training. So, if you have any questions or comments, I invite you to post them in the blog under this video. And if there's any questions, I'll try to address them. Your comments are welcome, and they are feedback for the ideas or the questionings that other people might have. Thanks for participating, and we'll talk about something different in the next blog.